I want to ask particularly about soft skills and experience, because when I first started, I was much younger, and when you look for a position, you have to have, at that time, you had to have at least 4 or 5 years experience. Okay, now I'm much older, you have to have 7 years experience. I'm like, okay, maybe we have to have 7 years experience, and then tell me I have to have 10 years experience. So at what point do you have that balance where you allow your soft skills, you know you've had experience that they're asking for a particular position, and you know your experience, even though you don't have the qualification for it, that your experience pretty much gave you that without having to go for the doctorate. So how do you still apply and allow your soft skills to bring in the fact that you believe that you have, over the years, had that experience that would perfect you for that particular position? Or do you just say, well, this is not for me because they're asking for 7 years?
I think personally that totally depends on the context. I think there are some situations in international development recruiting where the degree is almost like they're being scored on the CVs that they're getting. So if the chief of party, for example, doesn't have a master's level or equivalent, then that actually deducts points, and they'll have to make it up in another way. So that can be competitive in some ways. I think in terms of how recruiters will scan your CV for just a few moments, just like between 10, 30 seconds. I mean, the stereotypical is like 7 seconds or something. You just looking for acronyms.
Well, that's why we're up here, as we take the job more seriously than whoever told you 10 seconds.
I take 10 more seconds than the average recruiter. So you have a finite amount of time. So they have to be able to see that the past is prologue. This is what you've proven. This is what you're presenting in your CV. So if you think your skills qualify you for something, then put it down as your skills. Don't necessarily say this is something I'm going to have to prove at a later date, because you won't even get to the interview unless you can have that on your CV, or I need to be on your short list. That's your first goal, is to get on someone's short list.
So still ahead of the time.
Well, yeah, they get you the job later, in my view. Soft skills. Unless the soft skill is incredible networking ability. Where you know people and you've talked your way into finding an opportunity that's pretty much for you. That's other than that, the basic general recruitment practice where you apply to a job, someone sees your CV, they screen it, and then if you're qualified, they interview you. That's how it traditionally happens. Other than that, it's like you're already in an organization and you find your way through. Soft skills seem to, they come into play at the interview point, and then when you've already got the job and you're trying to advance, in my view.